Hey YouTube, this is the S1K Power Couple channel, and I know a lot of people are waiting for this bike here. A lot of people having a 15 model like this, wanting to get the 19 model. And I noticed that the instructional booklet that it comes with does not explain exactly how the menus work. So I thought I'd make a short video about how to use the menu of this bike when you get it. So it's very easy. First, when we turn the bike on, the first thing that meets you is what BMW call the core screen. Now, compared to the older model, you only had one menu button, up and down for all functions. Now you also have an additional wheel which you can use both sideways and up and down, so you can scroll it and you can use it sideways. If you look in this menu, if we try to turn the wheel up and down, right, left, nothing will happen. And I know this because you lack the symbols on the screen to do this. Now, if you see at the bottom of the screen, you have a arrow down. That means that the lower base of this button is possible to use. So when I press that, I go out of the core screen and I can select left to right on this screen, because there is an arrow left to right, or like an angle icon. So that means that the wheel is operational. Left, right, and we can go through all the menu functions for people to see. So here you have an icon for down, so you can press the menu button down and the bike will show the coolant temperature, how far you have on the tank, the battery power, and if your bike has been rolling for, you don't need a very high speed, but there is kind of like a centrifugal thing in the tire pressure sensors, so then you get up how much tire pressure you have. We now have a triangle here, or an arrow here, so that means that we can use the wheel, and you have trip computer, more trip computer, more details in tire pressure, and service information. Now, if we want to go back to where we were, we can always press up and you will go back out. On the Sport, this is the different tachometers for racing. We have the arrow on the bottom hand of the screen, so we can access that like this. You have the first racing screen is DTC, lean angle, and braking. So DTC, this is torque reduction in requested torque. So if you request 100 Newton meters from the engine and you get a 10% here, that means that the motor only gave you 90. So higher number means that the traction control reduces the requested torque more. So for me that does racing, I wouldn't use this screen very much. Next screen is more helpful in my opinion, because here you have DTC, very useful information in regards to how much the bike is helping you, and if you feel the tire slip, you can use this in addition to how the bike behaves to decide if you want more or less traction control. You also have lap time and best lap. You even have more screens like this, which is kind of a different screen with the same information, but in addition it also has lean angle. On a bike like this, if you, or on the 15 model, on the track, from my personal experience, if you go over like say 61, 62, that's kind of the area where you are near things happening. not going so well for you. So back anyway, what people want to see is the fun stuff. You go to the settings, we press down, and racetrack, and we can go to you have the icon here on the right, same as before, so you can use the wheel to change if you want it on or off. When you go into racetrack mode, this is kind of a neat thing, or maybe perhaps not so neat. You will lose the connectivity function like the Bluetooth settings, because you wouldn't use that on a racetrack yeah. So okay, we press that, we go into the configuration, we then press right again, and we have riding pro modes, and we can quickly go through to what you can change. And let's do everything, because all others just do like an overview. So let's say Race Pro 1, when you go into this, you wouldn't press the bottom of the button, you would press right, because you have the arrow here. So right engine, what you can select from is rain, soft throttle response, no popping and bangs on the exhaust. You can have a soft throttle, maximum torque, dynamic. Oh, this is kind of like in different modes you can really feel that in the lower gears it gives you reduced power, but in the higher gears it gives you more. Yeah, source, race, optimal throttle response, maximum torque, and 1 is the lowest in any selection. So let's do the next one. Engine brake, we have from maximum braking, medium braking, and minimum braking. We can take traction control, race or rain maximum stability, road high stability, dynamic high performance, and race maximum performance. I should probably not say this, but for my use, I really feel that the race traction control works very well. It actually stops you from getting out of trouble quite efficiently, even though you're in kind of like the higher mode, and especially if you give it a little bit of, you can fine adjust with this button here. Yeah, traction control was what we was. Wheelie, you have in rain it will not even, it's not a chance, it will stop you way before you even start to wheelie. Race, slight wheelie is possible, optimum drive, high wheelie, if you use these settings, it's really not like high wheelie that people would believe, but it kind of stops the wheelie after the wheelie has taken place. So it's kind of like a delayed wheelie control in my opinion. When it comes to ABS, you can, let's go from the top. You have maximum support on both front and rear, and it brakes a lot on the rear wheel. You cannot lift the rear, and you have the ABS Pro, which is kind of cornering ABS, meaning that if you chop the brakes with a high lean angle, the bike will build up brake pressure slowly, so that you don't get into trouble. Because if you brake very suddenly with a high lean angle, it almost certainly will result in a low side. Road, it's less rear lift detection, less ABS Pro, dynamic, and this is what happens through all the setting is it just goes down and down, and also distribution to rear. When you're on the racetrack, you don't want a lot of braking on the rear tire, because when you have all the weight on the front and almost no weight on the rear, the bike will almost certainly slide on the rear, because when you have no weight on the rear wheel, you also have a very low grip, if any. And another feature about the ABS, it cannot be turned off like the other ones, but if you disconnect the license plate plug, you can deactivate it fully, but not in this menu. You then deactivate the ABS with the traction control off button right here. DDC, here you can, if you want both compression and return damping separated, you need an additional sensor, which you can get from 2D. As a standard, you adjust both compression and rebound simultaneously on the front, but on the rear shock you have a sensor stock, so you can adjust independently. So here it's very easy. High number means high damping, low number means low damping. You have the opportunity to also reset all settings. I would do another video about how this bike feels, and of course, like everyone knows, it's freaking awesome. This is yeah, I've ridden a lot of bikes, and it's clearly the best one in almost certainly every way. There are a few things that I can point out if you have, like, for say a 15 model like this. If you when you use the normal riding modes like race and rain and road and dynamic, all of these, the difference in the damping system is very different. So whereas the 15 model is like softer in the rain and road or sport mode, and a bit more firm in race and harder in slick. This almost turns into a boat when you're in like rain or road. The damping is so soft. It's really a pleasant bike to ride, but the steering becomes a lot less precise. Now if you up the game to, like, say for example race, the way it rides, it goes directly from a boat to a razor blade. So it's really, you get what having this bike, it gives you all of the options. So I've never ridden a sport bike that can be so comfortable as this, and yet so racy. I could also say that when you use the engine is a lot more racy. This has a 1.7 kilogram lighter crank, and you definitely feel that. I will make another video about other technical features about this bike, and another video about how it rides, and my girlfriend Pittis might certainly make some other videos. If anyone has any questions about this bike, I will love to answer the questions. Big news is heated grips now not only have 2 settings, you have 3, which is kind of awesome. That is awesome. The oil filler cap and the sea glass or see-through glass is now on the same side. If you look at a 15 model, you have the filling here, and you have to go over through the other side to see how it's going, which makes filling oil not that easy job. So cheers everyone, let me know if you want to know anything about this bike, and I'll try to put it up in the next video.